We are April and Scott, creators of NaughtyGym.com, and this is The Naughty Gym Show.
For years, we've been fitness and nutrition coaches to thousands of people through our commercial gyms and online platforms. We've also spent nearly a decade in an ever-evolving open relationship.
This show brings together two of our biggest passions, fitness and sex positivity. Our mission is to maximize the physical and mental health of anyone brave enough to explore relationship structures that run counter to societal norms.
We have demolished our old ways of thinking about relationships, and from that rubble, built a life full of happiness, adventure, and vitality. And now we want to help you do the same.
So hop on the treadmill, start the show, and let us teach you how to never stop playing. Back to the Naughty Gym Show, guys. I am your host, April, and this is my co-host.
Why are you with the host?
Because this was going to be a solo episode with just me. But I brought you in because I just couldn't handle it by myself. It was getting unruly. Welcome back, guys. Before we get started, I just want to give you an update on what's been going on and what we have coming up, because we have some really spectacular things on the agenda in the very near future. Our El Salvador trip, we have 8 rooms left as of today, June 2nd. June something. It will be sold out here in the next couple of weeks. We have about 5 more Zooms scheduled. We do require everyone who books to schedule a Zoom, and most people think that's like an audition. It's not. It's to help you set expectations to know what to expect on the trip. And also a little bit to see if we can identify any red flags, because on trips like this, where we have a much smaller group, there's only 28 couples. If we get a couple in there who fight or don't get along or like to start drama, it can make the whole experience a negative one for everyone that is attending. So that's the purpose of these. This is a connection focused trip. We love to go to lifestyle trips and have sex and party all night. That's fun. Sex and partying is not the focus of this trip. Now, there will be that. Our goal for this retreat is that when you leave, you feel more grounded, more connected with yourself and with your partner and with the people who are other people who are in attendance, and that you feel refreshed. We don't want you leaving like you just got a beat down WWE style. So it will be a holistic approach to a lifestyle event.
Yeah, we have a little highlight video on the webpage where you can kind of get a sense of what the trip's going to be like. So watch that, read through the information, and schedule a Zoom if you're interested. So our Be Better at Being Bad full resort takeover of hedonism in January of next year is going extremely well. It's going to be a sellout. Last year, one of the most incredible collection of not just people in fabulous personalities, but, you know, they looked good too.
Yeah.
It was a fit crowd, and, you know, it's something that we really look forward to doing it for our second year. So go to their website, book that trip. If you are new to the lifestyle, it is chock full of educators and people who are going to help you start this journey in the right way. And for those of you that experience, you're going to get the same mojito treatment at night with the parties that you're used to and have fun. So
yeah, I think last year we had about half of the attendees were brand new to Hito. So, and they all loved it.
Yeah, there were last year there were a little over 400 people there at the event. This year there's going to be roughly 500. So get booked and come to the U.S. takeover of hedonism.
Yeah.
Also, if you need help with your fitness and nutrition, which is what Naughty Gym was built off of, our platform membership provides you with daily workouts, multiple variations of the workout, so that you have access to a full gym. You have those versions. You have dumbbell only versions, or you have versions that require no equipment. You can do them in your hotel room or at home.
Yeah, it's a monthly subscription, $19.95 a month. What baffles me is sometimes we do these events, like we did our last soiree, and a lot of people have no idea that that is actually the bones, the foundation of Naughty Gym. Is we are an online coaching and fitness platform for the sex positive. So in that monthly subscription, you do get the coaching, nutrition coaching, fitness coaching for any goal, but you also get to be a part of an online community that is sex positive, where you can be kind of your authentic, freaky, self. You could just have a nice supportive community of people that are like-minded.
Yeah, you can chat with other members in there, and it's a really great platform to be a part of.
And that's at naughtygym.com.
Yeah, same website as all of our other stuff.
Yeah.
Also, we have another local meet and greet scheduled.
August 24th, the weekend of August 24th. It'll be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Our last one went spectacularly well, probably better than we expected. And they are excited to have us back. We're excited to do it again. And our coach, Cara and Matt,
we'll be back again.
They're coming to that event, but they're also scouting out a potential location. And it looks like we have one nailed down in Portland. So we're going to be doing a local meet and greet.
And that will be the weekend of October 11th.
Yeah, so we got a full schedule. So check out our website for all that stuff.
And our social medias.
And if you want to send me some flowers or anything, I just came out of a successful surgery this week. Right.
Some little skin cancers. I've been.
Nice. Oh, yeah. Well, I should go with
yeah. Well, pre-cancers, I don't know. Yeah.
They're not skin cancer. They were pre-cancerous. But they burned them off my face, which is itching, and I'm trying not to touch it right now.
All right. Feed that girl.
Oh, and like and subscribe. Go like and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, click like, click subscribe. It really helps the algorithm. Or leave us a review on Apple or whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. All that stuff helps us kind of get this message of
I'm going to start playing the Oscar song. I should have had that queued up.
You're trying to tell me to shut up.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get started. I don't know what we're talking about today. I'm just going to be responding to...
I want to talk about how the steps that I'm taking to start my cult. We're just going to go right off into it. I do want a commune. Anybody that knows me has known I've been talking for years. I think a commune
is that really what we're talking about in the show?
Well, we're going to talk about a bunch of different things.
Okay. In general, what's the overarching? Not just...
Oh, there's no general overarching. This is just thoughts that I've wrote down. This is supposed to be called April Off the Cuff, and it was going to be me by myself. However, I sat down for 30 minutes and realized that I'm too ADHD to have a conversation with myself. And it was utter chaos and nonsense. So you're here to kind of help keep me in check.
Okay.
All right.
So we're starting.
We're expecting. Well, not necessarily a cult. I do wonder, though, how people fall in, which I myself was part of a church that was a little cultish. So I understand the draw to be part of a community, but I think we could start one that was a lot more loving and kind, and that did a lot more good to people than harm people.
Well, I do, though, think that the first step to any successful cult is to not start it by calling it
maybe a commune is the right word. Maybe a commune is what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So like a big piece of property where you can be clothing optional 24/7. Yeah. There's no children, obviously. We'll have like a 1 weekend a month where you can have visitors and you have to be clothed, and like you can see Fat Baby and stuff like that.
Fat Baby's our name for
our grandbaby. We grow all our own food, raise all our own food. So everything is just all natural, holistic, meditation and yoga every morning.
Wait a minute, because I'm already out. If I've got to get up and garden, I'm done. Can I have another job or something?
You'll be our pickleball instructor.
All right, let me in. I'm back in.
But I've literally looked at land in other countries to purchase, to start this. It should be a thing. What I want, my ideal perfect day, is to have all of the people that I love in one place. Right now, all of our best friends are all over the world.
Yeah.
Which is very inconvenient and gets very expensive to see. So if we all pooled our resources together, we wouldn't have to buy these flights and hotels and all this stuff. We are all just there. So it's really saving everybody money.
So what's the biggest roadblock to start this race? Lack of money. We have none. So that's the thing.
Well, we still have one child in school. So we have 2 years. This is a 2-year plan.
Okay, but if you're independently wealthy, you'd like to fund
a commune,
a very not well thought out commune plan.
This is very well thought out. Then this is we're just scratching the surface of all of my ideas.
Oh, okay. We'll talk to April.
I think it would be a beautiful thing. Could you imagine just waking up, walking out your door
it already happens.
Naked, and you see, but not with all of your best friends. And they're in the States. I think out of the United States is the way to go.
Hard time getting people to move out of the country.
I don't think that's the case. Okay. Well, part of the reason why I think a commune out of the country is best, because I think most societies don't put the societal constructs in place that the US does. Other countries are a little more sex positive, a little more open. Maybe they mind their business a little bit. The government, I don't think in some countries is as oppressive or like in people's personal business. So that's my thoughts on why finding a country that's a little more open-minded.
International layer.
Yeah. And that brings me, those societal constructs, to learning to use your voice. That's some weird transitions. Reflex here. I like it.
So we go from commune to...
Yeah, I'm super proud of myself for the way that I've learned to use my voice in the last couple of years. The last year, especially, kind of took a break from the lifestyle a little bit because I was saying yes to things that I should have said no to, and I lost trust in myself. I no longer trusted that when we got into a situation, I would be able to say no without, I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings or feel like I was holding you back or whatever. And I think I've gotten a lot better at that now. And I'm super proud of myself for that. I feel like when I see women who are not able to use their voice, I feel fiercely protective of them. And sometimes I think women don't even know that they're doing it. They'll say, yeah. And we've been in situations like that where there's been another couple and you can tell that the woman's kind of like, yeah, no, I don't know. Because she's afraid of hurting our feelings or her husband's feelings. And I am okay with just saying, we're going to stop now because I don't feel like everybody is using their voice the way that they need to.
Well, I think the evidence that you've gotten a lot better is that our interactions, our interactions with other people and from a play perspective has gotten better and better.
Yeah.
We haven't found ourselves in situations we didn't want to be in.
Right.
And we have done that in the past.
Yeah,
Not like kicking and screaming, get me out of here situations,
right.
but situations that later on we're like, I don't know why we did that.
We probably wouldn't have done that. We wouldn't have chosen that again.
Right.
Right. Like we did that. It probably wasn't a great idea. Either one or both of us walked away feeling like, well, let's not do that again.
And I think we have been surprised at how hard that is. Especially when you first get started, you think, well, of course, I'm never going to have sex with anybody I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it hurts their feelings. You're never going to talk me into the bed against my will. But it's much more subtle and difficult than that to say no to somebody and with that fear of hurting their feelings.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's hard as it is, but it has been hard, and we've both gotten much better. I think it was more difficult for you at first, and you've gotten really good at it. And our lifestyle has reflected that. Yeah,
it has. And our communication with each other has improved, I think, because of that, because I'm able to say exactly, I've been able to find the words to convey exactly what I'm feeling in those moments.
Yeah, because I've never been great at, there's been times where you were probably giving off signs that you didn't love the situation we were in, but you weren't saying it.
Right.
And I wasn't picking up on whatever cues I should have picked up
right.
on. I'm much more direct, audible type person. Now that you make it clear to me, it's very easy for us to navigate this.
Well, and I love now that we have if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no, which means when we have our private conversations and one of us is kind of like, well, I don't know, that's an immediate hell no.
Yeah.
If we have to do that sort of like convincing ourselves or that kind of wavering kind of thing, that's a clear sign that that's a no. Right.
And that has actually came up when we've said, well, what do you think about this? Well, maybe. And then instantly, as soon as that lack of super enthusiastic yes is evident, we back off.
Which is a very secure feeling for both of us, I think, to know that your partner is on board and knows those signs.
Yeah, because like you mentioned a minute ago, I think early on you were always trying to avoid a feeling that you were holding me back.
Right.
And I hate that you ever felt that.
Yeah. Or hurting somebody else's feelings.
Right. And now that I know that this words can sound negative. I mean, that I can trust what you're saying to accurately reflect how you actually feel.
No, that's a very good way of putting it, because like I said, I didn't even trust myself. Yeah. Which is a horrible feeling to have, where I'm walking into such a situation going, I don't want to do this, but I'm probably going to. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, get your shit together.
And if you don't know April, you should find it surprising that she ever struggled with phone, because she's a very alpha female and has been a coach and led groups of people for a long time. And if anybody should have from the get-go use their words strongly, you would have been that candidate. Yeah, it was a very frustrating thing for me, because I felt like I would literally have conversations with myself going, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why are you doing this? Which has been a common conversation I've had with myself over the years. But, we are raised, or I was raised to fit in this box. Like, you're going to be a wife, you're going to be a mother, this is how you should act, this is what you should do. And so I spent my whole life trying to fit into that box and not practice using my voice, just kind of going along with whatever, because that was what I was supposed to do. So there was times when I had no problem using my voice, like standing up for myself in other situations. But when it came to sex and relationships, I wasn't taught to use my voice. And so it's been a very empowering thing to come into and to feel that empowerment. And that's what I want to help other women do. Yeah. To help them use their voice. And I can recognize it. And I have no problem calling that out, especially for my friends, my girlfriends. When I can feel that hesitation and they're trying to do this mental gymnastics to get into a place that they're not comfortable with, fuck that. You should not have to torment yourself and do this mental gymnastics to get into a place that you are not comfortable being in. You have no business being in that place. You're not ready for it. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're never going to be ready for it. That just means right now is not the time. You have some other work to do. There's a foundation that still needs to be built. Typically, and this is not everybody, so this is not a universal blanket statement, but I am going to stand by the statement that I think men are more guilty in general of trying to push their wives into a situation that they may not be 100% on board with. We've seen this happen. I think I've been guilty of it.
Well, we've talked about this before, and it's not been too long ago you recognized this in yourself, because you used to do this early on. It's been a long time, but you would go flirt with that person. Like, go flirt with that person. Why? Because you know that I love flirting. And you know that I'm a good flirt when I get in my element. And you just thought just giving me a nudge would help me. But my personality is, the more you push, the more I'm going to dig my feet in. Yeah. And then it makes me super uncomfortable. And then I'm going, why is he trying to force this? Why is he? And I start getting in my head and it starts spiraling. So when you just let me be, it happens naturally sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, but I do it when I'm comfortable. Yeah. But you recognize that it wasn't too long ago, maybe a few months ago, where you said, I realized I was pushing you and I could feel you digging in, and I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, part of what's happened in the early part of our lifestyle was that I knew you were holding back at times. And so I would try to give you every indicator that I was okay with you not holding back.
Right.
But the problem was I wasn't good at differentiating between the times that you were holding back and really didn't want to, and the times that you were holding back because you actually wanted to.
Right.
I was always pushing, and that caused more problems than it was ever worth.
Yeah.
And now that I've just said, we've built this extreme amount of trust between each other, and things do tend to work better for us when you lead the situation. Mm-hmm. The person that has maybe the slower pull the trigger on play is probably the one that should lead him.
Which can sound unfair to people. And it is. It's not an equal thing. I am aware you move at a faster pace than I do sometimes, and I'm going to be the one holding back. I feel no guilt for that. Maybe I should, but I don't think that I should, because I think in a relationship, it is a give and take. And we have more freedom in our relationship than most people could ever dream of. And so the fact that you allow me to lead and empower me to lead makes me feel good. I don't feel guilty about that at all. And I don't think somebody should feel guilty or made to feel guilty about that.
Well, it's unreasonable to think that both people in a relationship are going to be at exactly the same place with exactly the same wants and desires at every moment of their lifestyle.
Right.
Somebody's always out front.
Yeah.
And out front is not a positive thing necessarily. It just means somebody is always the one more open to taking the next step or doing the new thing or trying, something different. And whoever that is needs to make sure they slow down so that the other person can catch up.
Yeah. And the support of that is what builds trust.
Right.
And security. And having that trust and feeling that security, it allows you to move further. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Speaking of like being at a different pace, we recently opened and closed the separate dating chapter for a little bit. We put it on pause. So we opened it. We were going to start our separate dating. We really don't have a lot of time, honestly. But we found that it's just super fucking hard to make these connections on these dating sites. You were having a hard time. I was having a hard time. So we kind of put it on pause again.
Well, and we have some mismatches in what we're both comfortable with, the separate, or at least what we think we're comfortable with.
Right.
We still don't really know.
Yeah. We've never actually.
The only separate date we had with some very good friends, but yeah, we've both in general, I think, like the idea. But we have to both feel comfortable with whatever the boundaries and arrangements are. And as we keep sort of opening up and trying to find our sweet spot, we keep bumping into little issues here.
Yeah.
And
really, I hate the texting. I hate small talk through text. I get bored very easily if it's not like, all right, one thing I've had it with too. I hate being sent nude pictures. This is going to be a controversial statement. We have a lot of friends that send us pics. We love you dearly. We think you're all very sexy. But then you feel obligated to have to respond to every picture. I'm not a visual person when it comes to that kind of thing. I can admire a sexy body. Getting pictures after picture, like if you're doing an outfit check, like, hey, how's this outfit look? Looks great. But now I've got 15 messages and I'm having to go, yeah, you look hot, you look hot. That kind of stuff exhausts me. And maybe it's my personality. I don't know. I have a hard time responding to normal texts, like from my kids and much less keeping up with like, and it's literally, like 15 or 16 different people. We love all of you very much.
Yeah, because that's a big kink for some people, and which is great. That's fine. Exchanging sexy pictures and stuff really does it for some people. And I don't know what it is for us, but it just isn't our thing.
Yeah.
And again, we both can appreciate somebody that looks good. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like we can see my Instagram feed is full of hot.
There is nothing but cocks and tits. And I'm like, oh God, nobody has anything interesting to say today? Sorry.
It sounds so harsh.
It does, because we post pictures online too, like trying to be sexy and stuff like that. So it's not my thing.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I can appreciate a beautiful picture, but I get so afraid, and maybe that's the problem, is my anxiety. Like I get so afraid that if I don't comment, somebody's going to get offended. And now I'm worrying about 16 different people. And if I commented, if I messaged them back, if I hearted their post, and then I'm like, why am I giving so much energy to this? I have so much else to do.
When you almost feel like you're supposed to send a response picture.
Right.
Okay. Well,
you said before, why don't you send them an ass pic? I'm like, then I got to search through all of my pictures to find an ass picture that I'm happy with. That could take hours.
We sound like such babies.
I know. I'm sorry. I've had it with it. Oh my God.
We're not kink shaming. If that's your thing, we love you for it. That's just our particular style, I guess.
Yeah.
or lack of style.
Even so, like in my separate dating, there was a guy, he was incredibly handsome, started sending me some nudes, and like the conversation just ended after that. I'm like, there's nowhere else to go. Like, I'm not going to respond back with like, read any good books lately. Like,
Oh, you should.
there's just nowhere else to go from there. And I have so many fulfilling relationships. Like, my body is the least interesting thing about me.
I disagree.
It is. That's what I think. It's the least. There are so many more interesting things about me than my tits. If you can see the YouTube, I'm
She's
covering
covering my mouth. I understand what you mean. And that's part of the problem for us with separate dating is, well, okay, from my perspective, I'll say for me, I get excited about spending time with a person usually only after I've gotten to know them.
right.
It's in a dating app, since I don't like the texting thing, it just doesn't work well. I don't feel like I get a sense of who the person is or who they are, so I need to meet them in person. The problem with that is one of your boundaries is you don't want to know at all somebody I'm going out on a separate date,
Right.
which you've said, if I understand it correctly, one of your big concerns is you don't want to be at an event and my date or girlfriend or whatever it is that we're calling my separate date person be there and maybe, just sort of offhandedly say, oh, Scott, you remember that time you and I went and did this, or make some comment or an inside joke that she and I shares because you think that would trigger maybe some insecurities.
Mhm.
So I'm in this position where really the only way I can get a separate date is through an app. And I've had zero success with, almost no responses from any women.
I just feel like it's Alabama.
It could be because there's not going to be as many people.
Yeah.
But, and for you, it's just, I don't know, you need to be in person too, which
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. But
I'm so content right now that it's just.
I'll do that to a woman.
You do.
Like,
You make me very content. That is true.
imagine.
That's my secure attachment to you, which brings me into our next topic. We're talking about attachment styles.
Okay.
So attachment styles or attachment theories?
I don't know. I know nothing about this.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Attachment theory, attachment styles. I know there's attachment styles. There's secure, there's avoidant, anxious. Okay. I have a very secure attachment to you. It's a very healthy attachment. From the reading that I've done on attachment styles, I've read 2 books about it. Here's my pet peeve. Here's what I've had it with attachment styles. People who diagnose your attachment style when they don't fucking know, like in context to their attachment style, right? So you can have different attachment styles in different relationships. Like with my mother, I had a very avoidant attachment. With you, I have a very secure attachment. With my children, I have a very secure attachment. So when I hear people having conversations about other people and saying, well, they must be very avoidant attachment or anxious attached, I'm kind of like, yeah, and I'm Gemini. Like,
well, wait a minute.
If people will use it as an excuse to act a certain way. I have a very anxious avoidant attachment style, so that's why I do this. Okay, well, I'm Italian and Italians tend to yell.
That's true.
But that's not an excuse for me to yell and act insane. So while I think there is some very good things in knowing knowing the attachment styles and knowing how they cause you to interact in situations, in relationships, I'm tired of people using it as an excuse for their bad behavior.
You don't tend to like it. This has happened multiple times from multiple people when somebody tells you, oh, you're doing
XYZ.
You're doing XYZ because you're this.
You must be this. Yeah. Or
why does that
Enneagram. I've taken the Enneagram 3 times and got 3 different answers.
Wait, you're probably insane. But what is it? Why does it bother you for somebody to tell you, well, you're probably...
Well, I think it's another one of those societal things that boxes you in.
Maybe you just don't like that person.
Right. Like, maybe I am avoidant attachment because of the way you're interacting with me and I'm trying to avoid you.
Because you have body odor.
whatever the reason. It's kind of so in the, like love languages. I think that's a great thing to kind of know what somebody's love language is, but I don't think most people are aware that the love language book was written by a white heterosexual male Christian, evangelical Christian, for women. Because if your husband's love language is physical touch, then you better fuck him as much as he wants you to. So it was this book to kind of teach women how to be subservient to their men and serve them, in a way that would empower their husbands. So, and we don't use it like that, obviously. But I think a lot of these things get really overdone, and just people will use them as crutches instead of using them to make themselves better.
Yeah, a good example is us there too, because you always say your biggest love language was it acts of service?
Yeah.
What it's called. And my worst thing is giving people acts of service. Right. I mean, I'm terrible. Like
but I'm not punishing you,
well,
right?
My point was, here we are with what ought to be the two most mismatched
love languages,
and we're blissfully happy.
Right.
That doesn't mean I shouldn't use that as an excuse to not be better at being thoughtful and doing little things and gifts and stuff like that. I'm not great at it,
right?
But I try,
and
you recognize the effort, and so we move on. And I think people can probably sometimes use those things as a crutch to continue to act a certain way or to not improve,
right? Instead of a tool to make them better. So if you are avoidant attached, I guess the goal is to move towards a secure attachment, not to live and drown yourself and use that as an excuse to be that attachment style.
I guess, but I have no idea because I've never really used it and have no desire to.
I just find it interesting. I love to know people's thought processes. Like I like to sit down and find out the why. Like, why are you like this? Like, what happened in your past and why are you allowing this to make you, I don't know. We're always changing. That's why we have said we'll never say never, because
but isn't that what those attachment styles are at least partially for, is to help you and potentially others understand why you do what you do?
And not stay there though.
Okay, so you're okay with it, that part of it. You just don't like people diagnosing you on the spot and
right.
Okay, I think I understand. Like
I know I can be like, wow. But I can be very rigid, but my goal is to not be like that in all situations, to have more grace and more empathy and give people more space and to be who they are.
It's because you're probably anxious Gemini.
I'm a Gemini on the cusp of Taurus, which you hate when I say that. But I have no idea what that means. I just like to say it because people who are into astrology, when you say that, they're like, you are Gemini on the cusp of Taurus? And then they'll tell me what that means.
Yeah, this I'm afraid this is going to sound like a huge gripe session.
Here's what I do. When I work out, my brain thinks very clearly. So with ADHD, my body has to be moving for my brain to think clearly. So when I used to run marathons, I would run for 4 hours and my thoughts were so clear and so organized. And so I would make notes in my phone while I was running. And so I do this when I'm working out. I keep my phone with me because I'll be working out and then a thought will pop into my head and I'm like, oh, that's really good. I need to write that down. Otherwise I'll never remember it again. So this is just kind of the chaos of my thoughts. Coming out.
What else did you had it with? This had it with thing is she loves this podcast.
Because I've had it. I'd had podcasts. Those ladies are the funniest. I would be their best friend. I just know it because it's hilarious. But they do it in a really funny way. It's a great session.
I can only take it for so long because it starts to feel so gripey.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's exactly what we're doing in this podcast. So.
Yeah. Not all there.
All right,
we'll talk about forgiveness and healing now.
Okay. Forgiveness and you.
Well, I think that kind of brings me back to my commune. I feel so and grateful in my life right now. And I'm so thankful for the journey that and I hate that word journey, but it has been a journey, right? Like we've been through some shit. We've come out. This past weekend, we got to volunteer for our second annual local Pride event. And our local LGBTQ plus community has really supported us in such a loving and kind way. And we're so honored that we could go and help them and give back a little bit and to see that community grow.
And now we can be public about it.
And now we can be public about it.
Personal Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram.
And just this weekend when, we're at some of these events, I just was so content seeing people who were just living their life authentically and they're able to be out and be proud and have a community supporting them. And we've really come so far. And I'm so thankful because thinking back on my life 16, 17 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, it's such a stark contrast to where we're at today. So 11 years ago, I was entrenched I was working at the church. I was oppressed. I was depressed. I was trying to figure out how to raise my little babies to feel loved and not shame. And I was in such a confused state. I just feel so much clarity now.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to love people. We have so much love to give. And just trying to find a way to spread that and to show people that and to I just wish it was contagious. Like people could just stand by us and like feel it.
Well, and it in some sense is. I mean, we've seen our small Alabama town make positive changes.
Yeah.
But just when you think there's a lot of movement, you put a post up on Facebook like I did about this Pride weekend, and all of a sudden some of the old church skeletons in my closet came back out, and just a pretty innocent post about some events over the weekend got a lot of hate comments from some of the local
Christians.
Aggressive Christians.
Yeah. I mean, we've had some very kind Christians in our community. And so we're agnostic and atheist, so not to dog Christianity.
Because we both grew up.
And we understand that belief system and why, but we've also met some very loving and kind Christians in our community, but we've also met some very hateful. And the thing about that is we don't have to argue with them. They do a good enough job by themselves with the comments that they make of turning people away from Christianity. I mean, you said something like there's nothing like
there's no hate like Christian love.
Right.
Yeah. And that's not a message to all Christians.
It's not across the board.
Yeah, it's just the type that if you post a post saying I'm going to a pride parade today in my town, they feel an emotional obligation to deride that post or deride you or to make negative statements so that they feel like they're doing what they're supposed to for their God belief.
Right.
And it's those people that we still struggle with.
It's super dogmatic. And the only thing we're dogmatic about is
Not being dogmatic.
not being dogmatic.
That's right.
Because we are very aware that tomorrow we could shift our beliefs a little bit.
Yeah, I might be a Christian.
It'd be okay. I would support you if you were. I'd even go to church with you.
Yeah, I think part of what both of us fight against now, that we're on the other side of, or we're not religious, is not being there because of some of the treatment we get from the more aggressive, dogmatic Christian people.
Well, and not being better. So I grew up kind of religious. I went to youth group and stuff like that in my teen years. My mom didn't go to church, even though she was born again Christian. But I found I joined the church after I already had 2 kids. I was in a marriage that I was very depressed. It was not a great marriage. I had a twin pregnancy and I lost one of the twins, and I had serious postpartum grief, and I was alone. I didn't have anybody. I might get emotional talking about it. And I can remember I was going to a local gym, and the owners of the gym invited me to church one day, and I had said no. And I got to a place where I was just really in the dark place, and I thought, well, maybe that will help. Maybe going to church will help. help my marriage, help me love my babies better. And so I started going to church. And they promised a lot. They were promised under-deliver. But, they promised, have enough faith, you'll save your marriage. Have enough faith, you'll do this. Have enough faith, everything gets better. And it didn't. It got worse. And the harder I tried, and I was reading my Bible for hours and spending hours in prayer, and Wednesday nights, Sunday mornings, Sunday nights, I was in the church. I was working at the church. So I was there literally 60 to 70 hours a week. And it was getting worse. And the more I've always had a thing for underdogs, where I can remember early on, my mother was a little bit racist, arguing with her before I even knew. Like, looking back, I'm like, how did I even know that what she was saying was wrong? I just knew when she would say things about certain groups of people that it was wrong, and we would get into knockdown, drag out fights, because I always have loved people. And one thing I found working in the church was I was only allowed to love the people that they told me I could love, and I had to love them the way they told me to love them, which felt very restrictive and very oppressive.
Well, they would probably use the little phrase, love the sinner, hate the sin.
Right, which didn't feel like love.
Well, that goes back to that.
Well, and then you have to shun people. Didn't feel very loving. Like, if I was in the church and one of my children came out as gay, I would have to shun him. That's not very loving. As a mother, I would still let all of my children live in my home and support them for the rest of their life. I know that's overboard. I need to set boundaries, but
you're not.
But I want to be able to love people the way I want to love people. And so that kind of started my deconstruction process. The more that I was seeing, also the staff of the church that I was working in was very jaded. There was a lot of shit going on behind the scenes, where they would get up on stage and act one way, but behind the scenes they would act very differently. So they weren't living out what they were telling me I was supposed to live out. So yeah, I'm a little bit jaded by church, but I think that's a good thing. I started questioning. I started to have some critical thinking, which we have a big lack of, I think, in our society, is critical thinking. Being able to question, why is this? And figure out the answer on your own, instead of just believing what's being told to you.
And a lot of good meaning. There are tons of great Christians. A lot of the best people I know growing up were church people. They were people in church with. But one of the things, when we voice some of our concerns about religion, especially now that we're out of it, is one of the common responses we get, well, you guys should try my church.
Right.
Because it's different. And maybe you feel that it is, and maybe it actually is, but it may not be as different as you think. And we've been to a lot of different ones. I've been entrenched in the church my entire life.
And it all comes down to the man on stage, his interpretation of the Bible through the lens in which he was raised, his life experiences.
Right. And if you're born in America, you're going to be Christian. If you're born in Iran, you're going to be Muslim. It's so dependent on geography, and culture, and the community that you're in. Everybody thinks they interpret their religious documents through some sort of unjaded or unbiased lens, and nobody does. It's not possible. And you can see it reflected in the different ways church is done in different parts of the country or different countries around the world. Everybody sees it differently, and that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as you leave other people alone. Your religious beliefs are binding or impact your life. They should not be binding or impact anybody else's. And to the extent that you feel like your religious beliefs should be politicized or enacted into law is when we start having a big problem with religion in general.
Right.
Okay, speech over.
It was beautiful. My religion is love. I just want to love people and make everyone that I come into contact with feel like they have value and that they are worthy of love. That's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Crazy.
Handmaid's Tale.
Sorry if that was offensive to anybody.
I'm not sorry if that was offensive to anybody.
Okay, we're not sorry.
I'm not apologizing for loving people. I'm gonna break out into song and dance here in a second.
Well,
I'm not even high right
what
now.
else have you had it with?
No, I haven't had it with. Was that had it with? I don't think so. I think that's just part of our story, part of who we are, why we do what we do.
Well, and you've probably had it with other women coming up to you and saying that are religious, trying to resave you.
That's happened twice in the last month on the pickleball courts. And here's the thing about that. I appreciate that they came to me, and that's what they're supposed to be doing. They're doing Christianity the right way. Now, there's other Christians that are just talking behind our back, because it always comes back to us somehow. If you think that you're saying something about us, people just love to tell you when people are talking behind your back. We don't really care. You don't have to come and tell us. But
We had a phone call a couple of days ago detailing at length a party that a bunch of people were at
yeah,
where they were talking about us in the
Yeah.
local town. Nate.
yeah. And here's the thing. We don't need to know that. But also, I do appreciate when somebody says that they're Christian and then you can actually see them living out their life in a loving way. So I was approached by two women very lovingly, very kindly, and asked if I would like to go have lunch so that they can discuss religion and lead me to the Lord. I politely declined, but I did thank them for their kindness and for they still speak to my face. There's others who won't speak to me. You are a little bit insulated from it. And I don't know if you are aware of that, but men are okay. People aren't going to come to you, at least women aren't, and going to try to lead you to the Lord. They're still kind to your face when we go to the pickleball court. There's more women, I think, that are threatened by me because of the USA Today article that I'm a bisexual, non-monogamous, agnostic, right? So I am like a threat to them. So when I see women who are Christian that are very kind to me, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that they are living out their religious beliefs the way that the Bible, I think, tells them to.
Yeah.
It's the ones that say that they're Christian and then never speak to us again because of their religion.
Or we start getting stories about how much they're talking about how horrible we are. They don't really know us.
Yeah. I mean, have they seen me loving on Fat Baby?
All right.
Yeah. So we're living our best life. Scott just won the pickleball leagues for spring, and in his picture, he had his pride bracelets on. Bracelets?
Sweatbands.
Tennis sweatbands.
Pickleball swim.
Yeah, the cutest in the whole world.
So is that the end of the list of
Grievances?
grief?
I don't know that there's grievances. I mean, I'm not a big complainer, but I do like to address a few issues.
So, yeah. Well, if anything we said,
If you get offended, that's on you. I'm going to say, I am not easily offended. I don't remember the last thing that actually offended me. You get to choose whether something offends you or not. If you know we come from a very loving place, we love our friends very deeply. We show up for our friends. We show up for the people in our lives. We support them, good or bad. We are your ride or die friends. I'll support every bad decision Scott makes wholeheartedly, whether that makes me a good person or not. That's just who I am. So if you're offended, that's on you. We love you anyways.
one of the reasons that an episode like this we thought might be okay is that we get a lot of people that we're always shocked when we find out anybody listens to our show. But one of the things that we hear a lot is you guys just seem to talk in a conversational tone, and it doesn't seem scripted, and it seems genuine and real. And I hope that that's the case, because that's what we try to do. And so these were just some thoughts that April has taken notes. She's explained it to me, just kind of taking notes when a thought pops in your head, maybe when you're exercising and stuff. And just, we wanted to put them out there and have a conversation about them. If you disagree with something that we said, that's great, because we could be wrong. But it was just us talking things out in a way that maybe some people appreciate, and it will help them have a conversation as well.
Another thing that I want to talk about real quick before we wrap this up is openlove.org is hosting their week of visibility for non-monogamy in July. It's July 15th through the 21st. We are going to be doing a live virtual panel with Catherine from Expansive Connection and a few of her coaches for anybody who wants to join in that, about how to navigate conversations with your friends and family about non-monogamy, or how to navigate those conversations if you've been outed. All right. So if you are not out, and we posted a question on Instagram last week, are you out to your friends and family? Why or why not? There were a few, I felt like kind of abrasive, like it's nobody's fucking business who I have sex with. So no, I'm not, nobody needs to know. I agree. It's not anybody's business. But the big question is, but what if you were outed?
Yeah.
Would that affect people? Because then you will have to navigate some conversations. And for us, that was a big one, because we do love the people in our life so much that it can cause problems. We have recently lost a friendship that was very, very, very dear to us because of this, and have both been kind of grieving that friendship. These are conversations that you have to have, but if you are in a non-monogamous relationship or polyamorous or whatever, it's very possible that the day will come that you have to have a conversation with someone in your life surrounding this topic.
And I think the thing that happened to us that helped us the most, and we'll talk about this in this panel, it almost may have been accidentally something that we had in place, but we had a plan that we followed once we did get outed. And you may think, well, I don't know that I need a plan, but it helped, because if you get outed, it is going to be an incredibly emotional, difficult experience for you. And to just have something in place that you can refer to and lean on and say, all right, well, we're going to do steps 1 through 3 today, and then moving on, it at least gets you moving and pushing forward, where sometimes when you're in that emotional funk, it's easy to just curl up into a ball.
It can take the wind right out of your sails. So we had that conversation when we got outed, but also as recent as the USA Today article coming out a month and a half ago, we lost another friendship that was very, very dear to us. And they had already known. So it was just kind of, we're not exactly sure, but it's an ongoing conversation that you should be having with your partners, and about how you're going to handle it, or what would those conversations look like with your coworkers or your employer or your children or your parents or your best friends. So our virtual panel is going to be July 17th at 7 p.m. Standard Time. We'll have a link soon on all of our social medias. But the more conversations we have around this with our friends and family, the more normalized it's going to be. So I respect the fact that people want to be private, but if you're in a place where you can be out, be fucking out. Not that you have to tell people, yeah, I'm going to have sex with so-and-so tomorrow night, but having the conversations that, yeah, I'm in an ethically non-monogamous relationship, or I'm in a poly relationship, and this is what that looks like. You don't have to go into the sexual details. We don't discuss our sexual exploits on this podcast or with anybody, but having those conversations will help normalize it. And eventually the goal is for the consensual non-monogamous to be a protected class, because people in some states can still lose their job because of who they sleep with.
Most states, maybe all states.
I think in California, it's there's some cities that are now protected, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. And the more people talk about it, the more normalized it's going to become.
And so join this panel if that's of interest to you, because you need a plan, and you need to know what to put in the plan, what to say in the event that this happens. Because you want to be able to protect your job. You want to be able to protect your family, your children. All of those things are important, and this panel can help with that. So keep an eye out on our website and socials. post a week.
That wraps it up, guys.
Again, if you haven't done it, please, we beg you to subscribe or like our.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget, monthly subscription to naughtygym.com is a super inexpensive way to add longevity to your life and some fun and naughtiness to your life.
Well, April, great job.
All right, guys, remember, never stop playing.